Hello, long time no film. December was crazy, job in retail, Christmas, all that fun stuff. And now it's the end of the year. Oh, I made it. I still can't believe it. So, you're getting two for the price of one. I'm doing my December, November-ish wrap up along with a year wrap up. And welcome. This is going to be my new filming space. As soon as I finish all of this, I need more bookshelves. That's what I need in conclusion. So let's get this party started. Some of the books that I read this month and last month, I read a lot. I reread The Land of Stories by Chris Colfer, the first book, The Wishing Spell. Super cute, middle grade books. I recommended it to a ton of people. It's the first of a series. It's super cute. It's about two twins who fall into a storybook and find out that all the fairy tales are actually based in some truth. Tony. Cats. What are you gonna do? Tony! Can you stop that, please? The next book I reread was, I believe I read it this past month in December, is Artemis Fowl, the first book by Ewan Colfer, I want to say. Chris Colfer, Ewan Colfer. It's the first book of the Artemis Fowl series. I know that Disney picked it up to make it into a film, and I read it when it came out, so I was like, I want to reread it before the movie comes out. And it's about a small boy who decides that he's going to kidnap a leprechaun, or a fairy as they're known in the book, to get their gold and to bring riches and prosperity back to his family name. It's really interesting for a middle grade book. Again, I like the middle grade things. I like all the things. So that was another really good read. I read both of them in a few days and gave them both 5 stars like I did when I was younger. The next book that I read was Cryer's War by Nina Valera. I picked this up because Boston reads books. I love her. I want to meet her one day and just cry because she's so precious and so cute. Anyway, I read this because of her and because of some fan art that I found on Twitter, and I was like, it looks gay. I need it. It's sci-fi LGBT, which I feel like never happens. Sci-fi fantasy, I want to say. Yeah, sci-fi fantasy. And it's about this race of things, called Autome. They are humanoid, but they're not actually human. They are made, not created, not like created in the biblical sense. And humans are trying to rise up and take back what they believe is theirs from the Autome, because the Autome were originally created as like pets, or like, you know what happens when we create things with artificial intelligence? They eventually rise up and destroy everything. So it's a beautiful book, 4 out of 5 stars. I cannot wait for the sequel. So, next book I read was My Sister, the Serial Killer, by a name that I'm not going to pronounce because she deserves more respect than that. For a thriller, murder thriller kind of book, I finished it pretty quickly. The chapters are really short. It's very interesting, and it's not like your typical thriller. You already know who the killer is, but seeing everything play out and seeing this girl respond to her younger sister who's killed 3 boyfriends at the point of the story where you start, like, you're just like, why is she still helping her little sister? And I don't know, it just made me think, what would I do in that situation if I had a little sister who was secretly a psychopath and actually is killing people? So, very interesting read, very good read. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I did a reading vlog on this, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but 4 out of 5 stars. I got the second book, which I'm going to start in a few days. What's another book I read? Oh, I read 13 by Stephen Kavanaugh, and that book is the 4th book of the Eddie Flynn series by Steve Kavanaugh. I think I said Stephen. I meant Steve. I'll put that here. And the tagline on the front of it is, I don't remember. And there's a siren. How dare you? Basically, it's about a serial killer who's on the jury for a murder that he committed, but was not arrested for because they think that somebody else did it. Hello? Why are we squeaking? Can I? Okay, bye. Stop that. Oh. So this serial killer, nobody has been able to connect the dots for his crimes. So he's actually setting other people up for the crimes that he commits so he can continue on doing his thing. So again, like with my sister, the serial killer, you already know who the killer is, but watching it play out was so interesting. I could not put 13 down, and I've been recommending it to a ton of other people. I just loved it. Okay, goodbye. I feel like I read more this month. What else did I listen to? No, that's pretty much it. This month was a really hard month for me to read books. I listened to a lot of audiobooks, but even then it's been really difficult because of work and everything. So, time to ring in the new year. I don't know why my voice sounds like that. Anyway, let me get my little list. So, 2019, this is the first, oh my gosh, this is the first year in a long time that I've really, really been trying to actively read more. And it's mostly in part to BookTube and having this channel because I want to have more things to talk about. And because of BookTube and everything, I've been really expanding my horizons, and it's been nice and it's been fun, and I've been reading a lot of other books that I normally wouldn't otherwise. So my favorite reread of this year, because I reread a few books, it has to be this one. Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I reread this maybe 3 or 4 times. Each time I loved it. Each time I cried. I haven't been able to find another romance book that I love this much. So, I love it so much. And I want more, but I don't. But I wish I can go back in time and delete my brain memory of this so I can reread it over and over again because I love it. We're just going to hold this. We're just going to cradle this here. My most unexpected like for this year was The Wilder Girls by Rory Power. I don't read books like this ever. If you don't know what Wilder Girls is about, people keep calling it female Lord of the Flies, but the similarities end like just this specific gender, females, are stranded on an island. That's literally where the similarities end, because these girls are so much smarter than those boys in Lord of the Flies. And there's a sci-fi twist to it where these girls are abandoned on this island because they've been quarantined there because some kind of airborne virus has seeped into them and has started to like shapeshift them. And it was more gory for me than my particular taste, but I loved it, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it, and I recommend it to other people because it was so just I hated that part of it, but it stuck with me, and I think that makes a great book. The one book that I really wanted to like this year, and it's the most unexpected dislike for me, was Again But Better by Christine Riccio. And I know, controversial, I'm very sorry. I did not watch her YouTube channel growing up. I did not know she was a booktuber until I got the book. And I just remember reading the inside and I was like, oh, this sounds so cute. Like, I really want to read this. And I'm not going to talk about it a lot because a lot of people have talked about that book on YouTube. But personally for me, I just felt like for somebody who reads so many books, I expected a little bit more. And everything in the book just kind of fell flat. And there was just a lot of unexplained things in there for me. I hope she writes another book again because I'd love to give her another chance. She seems like a fun person. So, now, my next category. Most anticipated sequel for next year is the second book of the Sands of Araria? It's the second book of We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Fazal. It's gonna go right here. Her last name. Oh, I want to get it one day. But the second book is called We Free the Stars. And I'm so excited to read this. The first book was so rich in detail. And yeah, the pacing was a little slow. But it's so beautiful. And I cannot wait to read the sequel. I can't wait to see where this goes. The romance is slow burn. It's from enemies to lovers. And even then, at the end of the first book, we don't really know what's going on. But it's hot. It's spicy. And I love it. So, yeah. Now here we go with my controversial take of my favorite book of this past year. Also, surprisingly, these are all books that came out this year, so go me. Normally, when I read books throughout the year, I'm like maybe 2 or 3 years late on new releases, so I'm proud of myself. My favorite book overall that came out this year was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I know that's a little bit controversial because everybody loved Evelyn Hugo. I haven't read that one yet, and I haven't read it purposefully because I wanted to give some distance between Daisy and Evelyn Hugo, because I felt like I might compare the two. The author's the same, you know, even though the subject's different. You know, I understand people loved Evelyn Hugo more than Daisy Jones and the Six. But also, Daisy Jones and the Six, to me, reminded me of Fleetwood Mac. And that's one of my favorite bands of all time. And it's just one of my favorite eras. Like, the morally gray ambiguousness of it all. It just, it tickles my fancy. Anyway, I will see you guys a little bit later. Thank you for coming to this mess of a video. And I'm sorry I haven't been posting as much. On a more personal note, things have been a little bit crazier than I would have anticipated. Things have been more messy than I would have anticipated. I definitely want to keep doing these videos. I think I'm going to maybe do it once a week or twice a month, depending on my schedule. My schedule should allow for once a week. So hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Thank you to the 69 people who subscribed. My life's a mess. I also anticipate probably just straight up turning into a Boston Reads Books fan channel. I mean, my husband and I watch her videos all the time, and we're like, oh, Boston liked this book, or was this the book Boston was talking about? Like, she's our friend or something. So, and it just might. If it happens, I'm just going to be like, Mandy Loves Boston. That's my new name, and I'm not ashamed. Anyway, Happy New Year. Stay safe. I'm going to go murder some cats. Goodbye.